We're live. Welcome to another 30 with Karen and Justin. And it is Thursday at our normally allotted time, just at 1 p.m. Today, we're really excited to welcome our special guest, Megg Markettos. Megg is a senior development officer for Ontario with the Wilder Institute, which is a biodiversity conservation organization. Lots of words here. I got to read this out loud. Working across Canada and in Africa. And she's leading an incredible new project called the Kinship Program with Magnetawan First Nation on the eastern shore of Georgian Bay, focused on protecting freshwater turtles and bringing elders and youth together through hands-on conservation. Megg's career started right here in Burlington in sales and marketing, and now her work takes her across Ontario supporting community-driven conservation that's making a real difference. How's that for an intro?
That's
It's a
the
lot
best
of big
one yet.
words.
I'll be copying that.
Welcome, Megg. Thanks for coming on.
And thank you for having me.
So just to begin, I thought I'd really just ask, who are you and what's the Wilder Institute? Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So my name is Megg.
Yes.
I live not in Burlington. I live in Ancaster. I grew up in Oakville, but most of my career was in Burlington. So Burlington is very much home for me, especially professionally.
Sure.
I'm a mom. I've got four gorgeous daughters between the ages of
Wow,
14
daughters.
and 20. So I'm a busy mom,
Yes.
but they're good kids and they're good company and they keep me young. So
Amazing.
so thank you to them. The Wilder Institute, as mentioned, we're a national biodiversity conservation organization. And what that means is that we are actually species-specific conservation. So
Cool.
we're not in the business of land conservation. We sometimes take a stance on advocacy issues, but organizations that are more advocacy-based, like David Suzuki Foundation, for example, we're not doing that kind of work. We are actually hands-on. We're breeding animals, we're head starting animals, we're propagating plants, and
That's
we
so
are,
cool.
it's really cool. And then we're reintroducing them into their natural habitat. So we might breed them in northern or near Calgary, for example, and then they go back to somewhere in BC or
Right.
maybe Wisconsin.
Right.
Right. So we have partners because we do work with migratory species. We have some US partners and we also have African partners for our work that we do in Africa, which is really, really cool work where we're not saying like, let's build a fence around the hippopotamus and now hippos live here and people live there and let's live in harmony. That's not harmonious living. We're all about restoring balance between wildlife and human life. So we look at the community instead and we go backwards. What does the community not have that is preventing the hippos from thriving?
Got it.
I use hippos as an example because that's our oldest project in Ghana.
It would seem, though, because hippos are such a large animal and quite frankly, one of the most dangerous animals from
The
what I
most
understand.
dangerous.
Yeah, in the area. So like it must be difficult to integrate communities around those populations of hippos in a way that is meaningful. And it probably propagates a lot of fear on the part of human beings to try to get rid of or at least push them away when we really need to try to create a bit of harmoniousness there, right?
Yeah, so in Ghana, when we realized the hippos, this is going 26, 27 years ago, we went in and the first thing we do in these communities, and it's the approach we now have in Canada and Ontario here with Magnetawan, is we look at the community first and what are their needs. And what we discovered in Ghana is that people actually revere the hippopotamus. They believe that they believe the hippo rose from the river, creating a bridge to help them escape slavery. So these people do not want to kill the hippo.
Right.
However, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you don't have clean drinking water for your family, you will do whatever you have to take care of your children. So we went in and we said, well, these people don't have clean drinking water. And we raised money and we built wells and people have clean drinking water. And then we look at what else a community needs, and they need a school system. They need education. So we help them open schools, and they teach reading, writing, arithmetic, but they also teach conservation from 3, 4 years old. They're learning why the hippopotamus is important to the biodiversity. And then we look at their economy.
Wow.
And what is the economy? How are they making, ends meet? And what we realized in this community is that the women, and it is unfortunately mostly women, they're collecting shea nuts. Like shea butter that's in all the things you buy at Shoppers Drug Mart. They're collecting shea nuts, they're bagging them, they're walking miles to the village market, and they're trading them or selling them for whatever they can get on a given day.
Right.
But their real art is making shea butter. These women have the most beautiful skin you have ever seen in your life. And so we help them build a manufacturing facility. And they now manufacture, and we've helped them, the government, to get their organic standards. They make organic shea butter. They trade shea butter on an international market instead of shea nuts at the village market. And over 2,000 women are employed. And
wow. And
So
so the purpose of this is to divert away from the need to be so close to those hippopotamuses, to give them their space.
yeah. And
That's cool.
you know why they have all those shea nuts? If there's any little kids watching, they love this part, because at night, hippopotamus spray poop everywhere.
Yes.
All over. And that is what makes this area so abundant in shea trees.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's that full circle moment
It's like a fertilizer.
yeah,
It's a
this feeds
fertilizer,
this, which
exactly.
feeds this. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So that's the work we do. That's called community conservation. We do it in multiple countries. We've just received a $9 million grant from Global Affairs Canada for our work in Ghana with both the hippos and the Sitatunga. And we have work in Kenya, working with mountain bongos. You can go on our website and you can see all the cool African projects that we're a part of. Gorillas, bongos.
So talk to me about the Magnetawan project then, because I imagine there's something similar in that regard with relation to whatever we're talking about with that, right? So let's dive into that a little bit and see what's going on there.
Yeah, so as mentioned, in Africa, we've become sort of global experts in what we call community conservation. And here in Canada, we started doing work about 32 years ago, working with the whooping cranes, which were very, very endangered, and also with the Vancouver Island marmot, which is Canada's most endangered mammal. And in those projects, we became experts in what we call conservation translocation. So that is what I said at the beginning: head starting, breeding, propagating, getting things back into their natural habitats.
Right, right.
And so Magnetawan is the first project of there will be many that will fall under what we call the Wilder Canada Action Plan. And this is going to be an inclusive conservation project. So when I say inclusive, we're going to layer in that work that we're doing in Africa with community, with our expertise in translocation conservation, to create an inclusive model for working with wild things. So that could be plants or animals here in Canada.
Amazing.
So the Kinship Program, it's called the Kinship Program, Wildlife, People, and Place is the full name. We came up with that name in conjunction with the people of Magnetawan First Nation. They started doing turtle conservation work in 2018. And a number of years later, they realized that they'd sort of reached capacity in where they could take that project. And they know that there's still so much work to be done. So we signed an MOU with them in the summer, and we are their only partner on this project, which is working with 4 species of freshwater turtles. It's important to note here in Ontario, we have 8 species, well, 8.5, because the painted turtle has 2 subspecies, the Western and the Midland painted turtle. All 8, except for that half, the Western painted turtle, all of them are on an endangered or at-risk list.
Wow.
So we have a considerable issue here. Turtles are really, really important to biodiversity in wetlands. And for all similar reasons as hippos, what they eat, what they dispose of, and how that helps manage those ecosystems. So by doing this work, although we're focused on turtles, we will in turn be supporting other at-risk species and inform inform other sister nations that are looking to do this similar type of work, and other organizations, and how they can make meaningful impact.
So the process is roughly the same. You go back to the community and you say, what are the community impacts on the turtles? How can we change some things or add to the community to help what they're doing, help what the turtles situation is, right? Is that what I'm thinking here?
Yep. And further to that, what they have realized is that they have a loss of knowledge sharing between elders and youth in their community, right? Unlike not unlike all of our kids, they're on devices, they're connected in other things, and maybe less connected to the land and the things that live on it. And so the elders and the older generations on Magnetawan are looking to have us help them with bi-directional learning between elders and youth. There's a lot that the youth can share with elders, and then there's a lot that the elders would like to make sure is passed down.
Right. Which will eventually strengthen the relationship between the land and the youth as well, because they'll get to know more about where they come from. And I'll be honest, I sat with an Indigenous gentleman recently, just in an appointment, and we had a pretty deep conversation about the way things are when it comes to the things they believe, and the way that their sort of hierarchy is, and so on and so forth. And it was very interesting conversation. But there's one thing I took from it, is that we're talking about generational love for the planet and what the planet gives them. Like, their whole belief system revolves around, the land and what the animals and the trees and the wind and the clouds give them, and the sun. It's a very interesting system. And so it's in a way sad to hear that the youth would be losing that love for those things, because in a way, from someone who's not super religious, it was lovely to hear such a spiritual mindset that wasn't governed by one god of things that made this. You know what I mean? It was a much more widely broken down system.
Yeah, and that's inherent. It's actually, so when we talk about these partnerships, we bring science, we bring Western science to the table.
Yeah.
We bring expertise, we bring funding.
I was going to say money.
We bring money, but they bring knowledge that we can't.
That you can never realize if you don't get involved in the realistic aspect of it.
Exactly. So that's why these partnerships are so important, and we can't do it alone, and neither can they.
So I have questions, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So let's go back to Africa. So how long did that take you to actually develop that whole project from beginning to the factory?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I don't know, and I might have to report back to you on when the manufacturing facility actually launched. What I will say now is that it's really, we still give them funding and we still support the initiatives, but it's really a self-sustaining project now, which is really exciting.
It's absolutely amazing, because I've done work with Rotary in Africa and in Guatemala and in El Salvador. And it's funny because it takes so much time and funding, and you find out that you've satisfied one situation, and then you find out there's another issue that you need to resolve, like schools, for instance. And I'm a true believer of funding for children and schools in third world countries and things like that, right? I love that. But so you must have traveled to Africa then.
Not yet.
You did?
Not yet. I look forward to the day that I do.
Oh.
get to go with a number of donors. It is on our radar. We actually have upcoming an opportunity for people to travel with our CEO, Dr. Kyle Burke, and our Chief Development Officer, Stephen Ross, to do an African safari with a tour operator that aligns very well with our conservation mandates. So you're traveling with somebody who has, the people and the place and the things that live on the land at front and center in the work that they do. So there is an opportunity for that if anybody is looking for an amazing safari.
So tell me about that opportunity.
So
give the sales pitch. She might go.
Yes, she might go. I didn't know that I should have all those details
on the spot.
Yeah, I could try to pull that up, but then I wouldn't be paid attention.
Oh, well, is it on the website?
No, we'll pull it up on the website. It's fine.
It is not. I don't believe we're advertising it on the website. It's a little bit more of
exclusive.
Be invited.
Invite only exclusive breaking news. Karen, here we go. We got this.
Yeah. So but we originally had it open to donors first. We've now expanded it to people outside of our existing donor pool. A number of our African donors have spent a lot of time in Africa.
I would think so.
But going back, Karen, to your point about how long it takes, we've been working with mountain bongo. There's almost no mountain bongo in the wild, and they thankfully breed very well in captivity. So we have a robust population of bongo. They're just not living in the forest. And it has taken us 12 years to get to a place where we now feel that these animals will not be poached. And the people have engaged with the reasons why these animals need to be protected. They're kind of like deer in headlights. So
what a beautiful animal, though, by the way.
They're gorgeous.
Like, I'm just going to do this. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
That's such a pretty animal.
And they're kind of, I don't want to say dumb, but they don't run away when a hunter comes with a large rifle. They kind of look at you and smile. They pose for the camera. So they're very easily hunted, and their coats are beautiful and their horns are beautiful. And so we started that work in another part of Kenya that we still don't feel is ready. We don't feel it's safe to start releasing bongo into that area, but we've moved over to Mount Kenya and we've worked with the people. We've helped them build a honeybee collective. We've just recently helped them get their organic standards so they can put that organic sticker on the honey that they now sell across the country. So it does take time. These projects do not happen overnight. And working here with First Nations, it is, we're working with them at their pace. It is, right? It's a very different experience than just going out onto Vancouver Island, bringing on a partner or two to help us with breeding and getting the job done. Yeah. It's a different experience, and it's
the speed with which they move also. Again, going back to the conversation I had with the gentleman, he said even he will go back to the elders back at his reserve, and he's Indigenous, but he will live most of his life around this area here.
Yep.
When he goes back to the reserve, even they tell him, slow down, speak slower, calm down, right? Because life out here is this, it's all this, and then when you go there, their world is just different. And so I can imagine how that could create a challenge, but also in a way create some new opportunity for you to learn something from that, right?
We are all learning so much. I have a colleague who works out of Calgary, and she manages our national partnerships. One of the projects that we are looking to complete as part of the Kinship Program is building a community hub. So this is going to be a place where we're breeding turtles, where people can gather together and do that knowledge sharing, where they can host sister nations to come and learn about turtle conservation and share that information. And so my colleague has been working very closely with a couple of potential corporate partners. And we want to be able to say, yes, let's go, but it's waiting for the Indigenous community to say, this is where we want it to be. This is where we believe it should be. This is right. And we're all go. Let's secure, let's
make a decision. Let's go.
You can't disrupt their agenda.
No. And it does. I think, Justin, to your point, it forces us to take a breath.
Just
and
step back and say, well,
it's like living on island time.
But at the same time, it gives you space to think and also understand and really absorb what you're doing and the impact that you're having, quite frankly, and really appreciate it. Isn't that what's part, like, what do we always say? Stop and smell the roses. Same idea. You know, really appreciate the thing that you're doing. And really appreciate the decisions that are being made are heavy weighted decisions that will affect many people and many species and so on.
And for generations. I think that's the other thing that we have to remember is that this isn't a short game. Let's increase the number of turtles over 5 years and then we're out. This is a long-term project. We hope to see some impact on year one. So this June we'll be collecting turtle eggs, and turtles aren't super smart about where they lay their eggs. They tend to lay them on the side of roads where the little hatchlings come out of their shells and get hit by cars. So we are looking to make an impact right out of the gate, but the long-term impact of the knowledge sharing, of increased turtle numbers, of community understanding the importance of these animals and the biodiversity, it's a long game.
It is, and it really does feel like the Wilder Institute is there for the long game.
Absolutely.
You know, based on what you've told us about the Africa projects and so on and so forth, you know, you're not just, here's the money, here's the thing, here's the water well, we're out of there, see you later, next thing. It's like you're building on top of building on top of building with some of the stuff that you're doing, which I find incredible. Actually, it's insane to have to carry all that you know, ongoing.
Well, Meg,
you know, it would be a lot harder to not carry it. And
I guess you're right.
That you went and you built wells and then they dried up and nobody sustained them and people are going to the river and they're killing hippos so they can feed their families. That would be a lot harder.
Yeah, you're right.
So how do you find out about these projects? I mean, you know, all of a sudden you're stepping into BC and going and getting involved with turtles and things like that. So who called you and said, hey?
That's a great, I like that question.
Yeah. So they don't call me, first of all. So we have a really strong conservation team. Our Chief Conservation Officer, Dr. Grania McCabe, she is brilliant. She's a primatologist, actually. So she, her expertise is in primates, but she's worked around the world in Africa as well. So she's world renowned. People know who she is in that space. So they follow her work. The different projects come to us in different ways. I think sometimes we find them, the Whooping Crane project, that was the first conservation work that we started with. And I should at this point mention that the Wilder brand is only about 3.5 years old. So we've been doing work for over 30 years, but up until 3.5 years ago, we were operating under the brand, the Calgary Zoo. And so Calgary Zoo, you know, people have these preconceived notions about zoos being bad places. There are a lot of really bad zoos. And I do not condone the roadside menagerie where they're keeping
the
animals.
Tiger Kings of the world, you mean?
Right. So we do not condone that. No. But if you are accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, the AZA, you have to be doing conservation work.
Right.
And so The first project we got involved in was the whooping cranes, which back in 1947, there was like under 25 of them in the wild.
Crazy.
I know. And it's mind-boggling that today we have over 700 of them.
Wow.
And in one self-sustaining group that migrate from Wood Buffalo National Park in northern Alberta down to Texas every year,
Cool.
there's over 500, it's about 550 of them. And like
That's amazing.
But then this poses the question, when is it no longer a problem?
Right.
Now, when is it no longer?
When is the work done? And I think that in most cases, we need to know that there are enough groups of these species that if there were a natural disaster, so if we had a hurricane in Texas and it wiped out most of those birds, or a forest fire in northern Alberta, do we have enough genetics in the world to build that back up again? And so the Wilder Institute, along with our partners, has been working to increase the numbers in other areas where whooping cranes used to exist. So Wisconsin, there's a group that we're trying to build up that migrate to Florida. And then there's also a non-migratory group of cranes that live in Louisiana. I guess Mardi Gras is fun enough, they don't need to leave. I don't know. they just stay in Louisiana. They don't migrate anywhere. So those populations have been slower to pick up, and so the work is not complete. Same with the Vancouver Island marmot. We need to make sure we have enough colonies of these adorable, like the Vancouver Island marmot is so cute. And so both of those animals we breed in Alberta. The May 28th, we had our first whooping crane hatchlings, which happens to be my birthday. So I was very excited this year to hear that I share a birthday with our first resident whooping cranes. But the science, so it can be in that regard. We also do work with, like, we have fake eggs that we put in the nests of the whooping cranes so that we can monitor the temperature, how often the cranes are turning their eggs. We can collect all that data. So we're very science driven.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. It's interesting to me because also the other factor here really is humanity. Because as much as you can build this up to a point, humans are notorious for breaking things. And so, I can imagine that probably happens every now and then where you've done some great work and things are at a point and humans kind of intervene in a way that whether it's accidentally or not, that is detrimental.
Sure, of course. I mean, logging is why the Vancouver Island marmot is where it is today. When we started doing the work about 14 years ago, we were down to 27 in the wild.
Yes.
One interesting thing with these animals that where humans help instead of hinder,
right?
We breed them at our Archibald Biodiversity Center just outside of Strathmore, Alberta.
And before you say anything, can we visit these places if we were anywhere there just to or are these closed centers?
You cannot get to where the marmots actually live in the real world.
I'm curious.
You need a helicopter.
Right. Got it.
The Archibald Biodiversity Center is not open to the public to walk in, but we do bring guests there, donors, people who are really interested in the work that we're doing.
Right.
And of course, the Calgary Zoo is open, and we have lots of opportunities to engage in conservation knowledge and understanding through sort of our wayfinding through the zoo, which is neat. But those marmots, before we release them by helicopter up in the mountains,
they take a helicopter trip. I love it.
Oh yeah. Before we do that, we actually put them out in the wild for 1 to 2 years on Mount Washington.
Okay.
And this is where humans hiking, mountain biking, skiing, it actually keeps predators away. So natural predators, it gives them that 1 to 2 years to reach maturity, to become wild, successful wild marmots before we put them out into that really remote area where they will have eagles and cougars and things like that as natural predators.
There's a really awesome documentary on Apple TV that came out in 2021, and I watched it and it blew my mind, quite frankly. It's called The Year Earth Changed, and it was Sir David Attenborough that put this on and narrated, who's incredible, of course, as we know. And literally it was as soon as COVID shut everything down in 2020, this team sent photography. For some reason, they had this brain wave to go, let's send out videographers all over these places where humans are notorious for, intervening or interfering or whatever with the animal population. And it really what's that?
As tourists.
As tourists, and otherwise, just in general, but it really highlighted the way that humanity interacts with the animal kingdom, quite frankly. And one of the most impactful ones that I saw was the cheetahs on the African plains. When they have these cheetahs, mama goes out and hunts, brings down a prey, and then the whole thing is if mom leaves the prey there, other animals are going to take it. And so she has to stay there and guard it, but call her young.
Yeah.
But up to a point, now the one thing that most people pay for on these tours is to see a cheetah take down an animal.
Right.
And because it's incredible, apparently, like live. It's unreal. And so all these trucks are around. And mom is calling out, forgive me. However the noise is. The babies can't hear.
That's exactly what they sound like.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it. I love that. The babies can't hear, and the babies don't come because of the noise of the truck and the mom standing over the thing.
Wow.
COVID happens. All the tourists are gone. The cheetah population skyrockets because instead of one of every three surviving, basically 3 of every 3 are surviving. So my point in asking you that question about human intervention would be, one, I mean, within your projects, did you see any fluctuations of some of these creatures throughout COVID when things were basically, don't go anywhere, don't do anything? And 2, I mean, I just love the idea that you as an organization are really working so hard to integrate these human moments with these animals, because this is the important piece, is that we have to share this planet together. We're not just some sort of bigger species that shouldn't give a shit about, because if one of those things disappears, all this stuff over here could go completely wrong.
Yeah.
Which I think is the biggest impact as a whole that we need to remember.
I don't think people realize that.
No.
Whether it be snakes or bears or whatever, it's quite incredible that that the average person doesn't understand that.
Right.
But don't we find it interesting that we had an influx of coyote attacks over COVID? Like, why do you think that is? Because these animals flourished, skunks flourished, but bunnies flourished. They weren't getting run over as much, stuff like that. And now coyotes are there to manage that population. Now they're flourishing because there's more of those things. More coyotes means more attacks. You know what I mean? So all of it kind of plays together.
It's a numbers game. And quite honestly, I don't have any specific stats on what happened with the animals that we work with, but the human piece is really important to think about. And where we work with our Sitatungas in Ghana, the people in this area had always relied on ecotourism. So yes, it's, COVID is good maybe for wildlife, but it might be really bad for people.
Yeah.
And so that's where we're working with them on citronella. So they have the opportunity to produce citronella. And so this will protect them economically if we have another pandemic. They've had Ebola on top of COVID. Ecotourism is not a reliable source of income for these communities. So that's another piece of it. And I think, some people will look at us and criticize we take money from oil and gas. But guess what? Mining, oil and gas, we need these things to build our roads, to have our hospitals, to create housing. We are not an organization that is anti-development or anti mining natural resources, but let's make sure that we do it smart, let's do it right, and let's restore that balance between human life and wildlife.
Yeah,
so
now let's help guide these companies in their decision making too, right?
Yeah, and helping people understand also the financial impact. So biodiversity, if you think about something as simple as a bumblebee, and we know that this is like one of these amazing creatures that impacts so much. But here in Canada, our agriculture, like that industry is enormous. And if we lose some of these pieces of our biodiversity, the impact, the financial impact it will have on us. So let's find that balance so that we don't find farmers can't continue to grow wheat or whatever their, soya or whatever it is. And let's make sure that we can still have our devices, our cell phones, etc. Our conservation teams use them out in the wild, right? To collect data. Like we all need these things. And so we need mines, and we do have a need for oil and gas. So it's again coming back to that balance and making sure that there will continue there, because there will be wild things in wild places. We won't lose that. It's just finding that balance.
So very cool.
Meg, I have just a couple. First of all, your girls must be thrilled that you're involved in this.
Well, they laugh. They say, "Oh, Mom, it's embarrassing to say you work at the zoo." I say, "But I don't work at the zoo.
What is your educational background?
So I have a degree in behavioral science. And prior to that,
in human behavioral.
Yes. So
not
I am
not in animals.
No. Honestly, before I came to work for the Wilder Institute, I did not know what a burrowing owl was. And if you want to grab lunch one day, I can talk about burrowing owls the entire time. I didn't know about these things. I came to this more from an expertise perspective on raising money, creating awareness. We had nobody in Ontario building our brand. So I was the first person that they ever hired in Ontario on this side of the business. We do have a few conservation team members here in Ontario.
Yeah.
But I was the first person to come in and start really spreading the word about who we are and what we do. So I'm in Thunder Bay, I'm in Ottawa, I'm in Chatham, Kent. I get to go everywhere and see this beautiful province. And of course, I'm up in Parry Sound, Sudbury area with the Turtle Project. So yeah, my background is more in the sales and marketing side of things.
Okay, gotcha.
When I worked for the Burlington Performing Arts Center, that's when I got really a little bit more engaged in the philanthropic side of charitable organizations. I had actually been on the other side. So I'd worked corporately where I had purchased sponsorships. And now I was on the other side working with a lot of Burlington businesses to, secure funding so that we can deliver amazing arts to the community. And that's where I sort of got family foundations and grants, and I took that sales and marketing side of things and flipped it into the fundraising world.
I'm just looking. I do have emails from you. We have discussed things about the Burlington Performing Arts Center in the past.
From way back.
From way back. Yeah, way back. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I think we bought tickets to the British Invasion show for my in-laws because they loved it.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's sort of where when I was with the Burlington Performing Arts, I was doing development, so fundraising as well as marketing. And I loved both parts of the job, but once you have marketed those shows a number of times, the challenge isn't there. So
yes,
this was a new challenge, but I still have the marketing side of things. They the Wilder Institute wanted somebody to be creative, to come into a new market and find new ways to engage with a population that they didn't really know much about, right?
They're
So,
sciencey people, and they want to connect with humans
so
at a real
yeah,
level.
and
Or
there
they're-
you go.
or they're
There's your
Albertans.
education.
Yeah, or they're
Human
Albertans.
behavior.
Yeah, but it's true. Like Calgary is a very, very different city than Toronto.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
how you navigate people and storytelling in Toronto is totally different than you do in Calgary. And nobody knows who we are here. So there's that starting from ground zero and building up. Whereas in Alberta, there's a little bit of people know the work that the Calgary Zoo's been doing for a long time. So yeah, they needed somebody who knew, like, knew the
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I really love the story. I love the timeline, and I love the work. I mean, I fancy myself as a bit of an outdoorsy person. I like the outdoors. I like nature. I love animals. I'm obsessed with documentaries of that sort. And so genuinely, like, I have to commend you and your and the Wilder Institute for doing what you're doing, because listen, we need it. And what I love about it is it's such an international thing right here at home, which I think we can all be proud of, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's exciting to have a project here in Ontario, and I realize it's not right in Halton or Hamilton, but the number of people that live in this area that enjoy the Georgian Bay shoreline, the Muskoka region, the township of Archipelago, that whole area, it does impact us. And we do enjoy what those places, like, imagine going kayaking or canoeing in Georgian Bay and not seeing a turtle.
It would be weird. It would be weird.
That's the excitement, is going out and oh, I scared the turtle and he jumped into the water.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I love it.
We want to keep that alive so that we can cottage and enjoy nature and continue to see those wild things in those wild spaces.
That's cool. Well, thank you, Meg.
So
It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Like,
thank you.
I love this. I just think you're great, and this project is amazing. And we'll put all the links below. I'm assuming Andrea will have already maybe even put the donation. There's donation links, I'm sure, on your website, I imagine.
There is.
Yeah.
Yes,
So we have funding from governments and other companies, but us humans need to help each other and help this out too, because this is a really cool, especially the Ontario project, homegrown project to help our own community. So
yeah, and I'm here. So if anybody wants to learn more, I'm
awesome.
Coffee, lunch.
What was the owl? What was the owl we want to talk about? The burrowing owl? We got to talk about the burrowing owl.
Let's have lunch and I'll tell you all about her. They're so cute. Oh, they're so cute.
Very, very good. Thank you, Meg.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you. It was lovely that you came on for us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you both. That was wonderful.
See everybody next week. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.